Hi everyone, this is Quintus Jansen and we're going to be speaking to the dad coach in a little bit. So we're just, hi there, we're waiting for them to log on and then we'll get going with the interview this morning. So I'm a dad myself and I enjoy being a dad, so it's going to be an interesting conversation, especially with the dynamic and so forth of chatting to another dad who's so passionate about it. So I look forward to chatting with him in just a few moments. I'm sure that some of you have checked out his social media handles and see and had a look as to what he's about. And I did the same. And I look forward to sharing with you, or at least drawing out from him some interesting information. And I hope some more dads log in, you know, not just the moms. I hope some dads log in and chat to us. Hi, Mrs. Wilkinson. Good to see you. Let's see. Where is Craig? Not yet. So we'll just wait a few moments before we share the screen and have a chat. It is 10 a.m. so we should be starting in a few moments. The signal is good. The Wi-Fi is good. Let's hope that there isn't too much of a load. So yeah. Let's wait a little bit. So, as I said to you, my name is Quintus Jansen, and I've visited many baby expos. I've read the magazine, Mama Magic's magazines and so forth many a times. And yeah, parenting and being a good dad is so good. Because you know, we have a short window of time to impart to children and so forth. So you make the best of it, you know. Guess who's online? Hi there.
Hi, Curtis.
How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, good to be with you guys this morning.
Thank you for being with us. So I'm going to introduce you to everybody this morning. For those watching, Craig is a speaker and author and social entrepreneur. He's penned the book, Dad, How to Be the Father Your Children Need. Is that right?
Correct, yes, yeah.
So tell us, why did you decide to get into, or to speak about being a dad and becoming the dad coach?
Well, I mean, it all started with, I was a single dad for quite a few years and had my kids with me. And my son Luke, when he was 18, he wrote me this most beautiful letter. It still remains the best gift I've ever had in my life. And it said, "Dear Dad, I just want to thank you for being my brother, my best friend, but most of all, my dad." And I just saw the need, you know, the impact that fathers had on their children, and how many dads were either absent or kind of there but not there, and just began to see the absolute important role that fathers play in their children's lives, and just developed a real passion around, you know, helping, you know, the journey I've taken to becoming a dad, mistakes I've made, to help other dads be great dads in this important role.
Wow, that's awesome. And then you didn't just think of taking it from, or taking the responsibility for yourself individually. You thought, let's share it with so many other people. Why is that? Like, why did you want to take the message and evangelize it?
Because it's so important, because dads are so crucially important in their children's lives, and because we have such a fatherlessness issue around the world. You know, South Africa, the stats are that up to 60% of children are growing up without a father in the home, and that's absolutely tragic. And I think we see the result of that in our crime stats. You know, gender-based violence, rape, and all that. I think it's a direct result of a lack of fathers involved. Where you have a good dad involved, engaged, you know, doing the things that dads do, you generally tend to raise boys that are good men, girls that are good women. So that's why it's important.
So there's a bit of a balance, right?
Very much so. Yeah, no, look, a mom and a dad are equally important in a child's life, but a
Yeah.
child needs both. A boy needs a mom and a dad for different reasons, and a girl needs a mom and a dad for different reasons, but both absolutely crucial.
Good, 100%. Now we were speaking about balance, right? Everything's a little bit topsy-turvy at the moment with
Yeah,
lockdown and people being
yeah,
kind of isolated. With mothers giving birth in hospitals at the moment, right?
yeah.
Only dads are allowed to go in and visit them. The whole extended family, normally grandmothers and so forth, are not allowed to go in. So,
Right.
what do you think that kind of support needs at this point in time?
Well,
Or how
look,
does it change that?
the two most important people are the mom and the dad. So, I mean, I think that the
Mm.
crucial people are there. What's so important later down the line is having that network of support, you know, where you have a granny get involved or a grandfather. But I mean, up front in the beginning, initially, it's not a train smash because the two most important people in that child's life are there. And that's what's most important.
Okay. And then how do you encourage dads to be more involved with their children and in their lives?
Well, I think I am, for me, the two most important words in a father's dictionary are the
Yeah.
words be and there. Be there. You know,
Okay. Fine.
When my daughter was about 7 years old, we moved from Johannesburg to Nyasa. We're back again in Joburg. But my family moved ahead of me 2 weeks. I had to finish up some business in Joburg. And 1 week into the 2 week period when they were there and I was here, I was on the phone to my 7-year-old daughter. And I said to her, I said, Blythe, isn't life beautiful by the sea? And she came back with the most incredible thing. She said, if this was my life, I would scream. And I got a fright. I said, why, my precious? Why would you scream? And she said these words. She said, because you're not here, Daddy. And I
Wow.
realized that those words, the two most important words, are be there. And Quintus, it's not about just being physically present, although it starts with that. It's about when you are there, be there, be engaged. So many
Okay.
of us
Don't be
are
on your device. Don't be in like doing something else. Be fully.
be fully engaged, be present and engaged. You know, you can be there. You've seen families at restaurants where they're all on their cell phones. They're not there. They might as
Oh,
well
yeah.
not be together. But as a
Yeah.
father, to make that decision to be, when I'm with my child, I'm with them. I speak to them, I listen to them, I hear them, I give eye contact. And it doesn't have to be huge amounts of time. But when you're with them, you are with them, not distracted, fully engaged, listening. That's the secret. That's the key.
And just in general, and as well during this lockdown period, how do you share the role of parenting, of the schooling dynamic, and all the other things that come with being in lockdown at this point in time?
Well, my kids are both out of the house now, so they're actually.
Oh, lucky you.
Because I don't have that burden. Yeah. So I feel very deeply for the guys, the dads like yourself, who have to do that. I mean, it's look. I think, Quintus, what we need to do as men and fathers is be gracious to ourselves, because these times are very tough. And often as men, we don't easily admit that we're going through a tough time. You know, it comes out in anger, in kinds of different ways. And I think we need to, as men, say, you know what, this is a very tough time. You know, the pressures are real, they're solid. And I think what's crucial is for us to be able to have an outlet for those pressures, to be able to speak to other men, and just to be gracious to ourselves. So, you know what, this is tough. And if I'm feeling ratty and short, you know, it's okay, because that's normal. And let me find a release valve for that.
I find that as well. I mean, you know, generally women would speak to each other a lot more about these kind of things.
Yeah.
And how do you encourage dads to kind of chat to each other, to ask questions, to expose how they're feeling?
Look, unfortunately, a lot of men grow up almost being taught that big boys don't cry. That's wrong. It's shameful to have any weaknesses or vulnerabilities. And I think the starting point is for us as men to acknowledge this is tough, and I'm going through a tough time, and it's not easy. I mean, personally, myself, I've had times in this lockdown where I've really, really struggled. So I think for us as men, we need to acknowledge, hey, I'm struggling, this is tough. And then reach out to either one mate, two mates, three mates, a group of mates, and not just reach out about, you know, superficial stuff. Reach out and say, you know what, I'm battling. Because as soon as one man opens up, it paves the way for other men to open up as well. You know, so for us as men, brave men, start off by being a bit vulnerable, saying, gee, Quintus, you know, my friend, I'm really struggling. How you? It opens the conversation. And I think these conversations are very important for us as men to have in this time.
So being a dad coach, it goes hand in hand with being a man coach, if you would.
Oh, you
Yeah.
know, 100% right. I mean, I say to Dad that your number one fathering tool, number one most important fathering tool is you as a man. You know, we can only give to our children what we have as a man. So,
Who we
so
are.
there's
Yeah.
a parallel journey. You know, as we teaching, raising our kids to become adults, we're also teaching ourselves to be a man. And it's a man journey as well as a father journey. Very much so.
And how are you liaising or communicating and spending time with your kids now who are out of your house and being a good dad to them at this stage?
Oh, look, it's luckily technology is amazing. I mean, I just half an hour before this call came off almost an hour chat or half an hour chat to my daughter who's studying teaching in New Zealand on WhatsApp, you know, and you can do WhatsApp, FaceTime. It's amazing. You know, it's not like hugging. I miss the hug, but you can still be very much in touch with them from a distance, thanks to technology. Again, it's just taking the time. It's saying, God, I'm going to prioritize being in touch with my children, and set aside time to doing that. It's, you know, it's a decision. It's just saying, you know, whether you're there in the house as a dad or they're outside the house, you say to yourself, you know what? This is a high priority in my life. They're the most precious human beings and they need me and I need them, and just make time. Yeah.
And in a non-nuclear sense, you know, there are a lot of families that are divorced and they are split households and things. How would you approach, what would you tell a divorced dad how to interact with kids? What kind of tools would you need?
It's a very good question, and sadly, it's a very, very relevant.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is you as a man and a dad are the most important man in your child's life, and whether you're divorced or not, you still remain that most important man. There's certain things that they need from you that no one else can give. So, number one, realize that. Number two, do everything in your power to have as much time as you possibly can with them. Number three, never ever. You see, the statistics are very sad. Over 1/3 of dads, after a year, have almost lost touch with their children. And we've got to understand that the circumstances for dads are different. Some dads have a very difficult ex-wife who tries to keep the kids away from him, and that's a dreadful situation. And we need to do everything we possibly can legally to get as much time as you can with the kids. So that's get as much time as you possibly can, whether it's just a Wednesday evening and then every second weekend. Number one, physical time. Number two, contact via phone. Let your children know that you're available. They can call you anytime. And make a habit of calling them and calling them regularly. I used to call my kids daily, every single day when I wasn't with them. And then when you are with them, it goes back to be with them. You know, a lot of times you have your kids for the weekend, but you'd end up watching TV and they're watching TV or in their rooms on YouTube, or you have a pub or something. So when you do have time with them physically, absolutely maximize and make the most of their time. So we remain important, and we can maintain the contact via technology, cell phone, Skype, whatever the case. And then when you are with them physically, just make that time really count.
Wow, that's good advice. Thank you. And then on the flip side, what about what single moms can do to kind of fill the gap for fathers that aren't or that choose not to be in their children's lives?
That's another tragedy. You know, I think, firstly, I think for every mom, we need to realize, and every parent really, that both moms and dads are crucially important. So the first thing for a mom to do, and this applies to moms and dads, the first thing to do is not allow any bitterness, any anger that you may have against your partner to come in the way of your children. Get over that. You know, it's not about us, it's about them. You know, we've got to be the big ones. So no matter what, no matter how much you've got to swallow your pride or swallow your ego, whatever the case, never talk bad about the other party in front of your children. Never blame them. Never use your kids as a courier, you know, as a kind of a messenger. You know, a lot of parents do that. You know, they tell your dad that, or tell your mom. No, that's really wrong. One should directly speak to the other parent. But then in terms of the single mom, I encourage, firstly, do whatever you can to encourage the dad to get involved, and make it as easy as possible for the dad to get involved. You know, make it easy. You know, swallow your pride, because that's their dad after all. Unless the father's actually physically or mentally or sexually abusive to the child, do whatever you can to facilitate the dad being involved in their lives, because it's crucially important. If that's not going to happen, realize that there's certain questions that your kids, and particularly your son, are needing answering. That really a man needs a man to do that. So recruit men into their lives. You know, grandfathers play an incredible role. Uncles can play a great role. Male teachers, coaches. You know, so create situations where your kids get access to good old men who can input into their lives.
Okay, good advice. A very interesting question. Is a dad's role different, or how would you interact differently if you were just a girl dad or just a boy dad? Do you interact with your kids?
Yeah. Look, there are differences. I mean, you know, there's a lot of talk out there about men and women and the gaps. The reality is men and women are different. We're equal. We have equal value in every way, but there are different needs. And so the questions that, I mean, this is a whole seminar. You know, you have to go into this thing. But I mean, for a boy, roughhousing is very important. A boy asks the question of his dad, two questions. Dad, am I enough? Am I man enough? Do I have what it takes? Am I tough? You know, boys have this need to be tough and to be strong and to know that they've got what it takes. And the father needs to constantly affirm his son, you've got what it takes. So the rough housing is important. You know, the arm wrestling and the rest. It's an important thing because it's a boy testing his strength against the dad, and it's the dad, you know, it's developing very important masculine traits. For a girl, 100%, she also needs to know she's got what it takes. You know? So dad needs to give her the message, my daughter, if you want to be a fighter pilot and you've got the skill, you can do it, you know. But what she needs from her dad too is to know that she's lovely, that she's worth pursuing, that she's worth fighting for, almost a romance.
That's an identity kind of thing. You're instilling and affirming an identity within them.
100%.
Of self, sense of self.
Very much so. And a sense that, you know, you've got what it takes and you're beautiful. So I remember with my daughter, she sometimes when I used to come home from work, my son would come running out and grab me and we'd have a little wrestle. And my daughter would sometimes do that too. But sometimes she'd stay inside the house. And she'd sit in the lounge, cross-legged, and she'd want me to find her. There was this little game. She'd want dad to seek her out. You know, it's almost like a romance. Take time to go and find her. And I say, hey, there's my precious girl. She would just come alive because, you know, there's almost a romance between the father and the daughter. You know, you're giving her the sense that she's a beautiful, precious, amazing, wonderful. And how you treat her is setting the tone for how she's going to accept being treated by someone else later.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So subtle differences between boys.
Yeah.
I don't have young boys around, but I definitely agree, and I can relate to the seeking out and pursuing of the girls. They want that attention. I fully agree with that. Now dads have a very interesting life. Before the pressure now on the dads with work, with being a good husband and being a good dad, etc., being available and accessible, is so all these pressures are on them.
Yes.
How do you stay on top of things? What suggestions do you have as to how to balance everything, if it should be balanced?
Right. You're talking about work pressures and
work
pressures,
being a
relationship
husband, being a dad as well. Yeah.
Look, I mean, knowing that you are the most important man in your children's lives is fantastic inspiration to be the best man that you possibly can. So I think coming from the standpoint of you're important as a man, you're very important. Your life really, really matters. So that gives you the motivation, firstly, to get this thing right, you know. Then of course, there's the balance. I mean, there are guys, and there's no one size fits all because there's some guys who commute, a long commute, some guys who work crazy hours, some guys work night shift, some who aren't with their kids. So the key is to give your best to your work when you're working, and give your best to your kids when you're with them. And then also in the middle, realize that you need to take care of yourself. So the things like, you know, self-care, physical exercise, spiritual care, you know, caring for your own soul, mind and heart and body, because it's like machinery. You know, if you don't care for machinery, the machinery breaks down. The machinery is not good for anybody. So you as a man, being so important, need to care for yourself. And that care doesn't mean getting drunk, you know, or smoking too much, you know, escaping into all these kinds of things. It means really taking care of yourself because you're important, And then giving your kids when you give it to them, and give it all to your work when you give it to your work. You know, the whole concept of
Managing, putting on different caps and managing your time, or focusing your time. Have little blocks of time. When you're with the kids, it's with the kids. When you're with work, you've got work sorted out. Okay, all right. And an interesting thing, as I was reading up on what you do, you've got these booklets out. The power of positive masculinity. Now that is an interesting topic because they're always talking about toxic masculinity.
Yes, yes.
Why do you feel the need to speak about positive masculinity?
It's a lovely question, Quintus, and I'm glad you asked it, because masculinity, authentic masculinity, is a powerful, beautiful, wonderful gift to humanity. It really is. It loves, it protects, it serves, it honors, it, you know, it's a beautiful gift. And but obviously masculinity, when it's gone wrong, when it's been damaged or wounded, or we've got misconstrued notions about what it means to be a man, it can be very damaging. And we see that in this country. We see, so toxic masculinity is something that exists, but it's not what masculinity should be. So for us, I think, in fact, my personal belief in South Africa is that the single biggest, most important nation building imperative is to restore men to be good men. Because you can imagine, if we've got good men in parliament, we've got good men running state-owned enterprises, we've got good men running municipalities, we've got good men running our businesses, we've got good men at home being good fathers. We're going to live in a fantastic country, and we're going to have wonderful families, and we're going to have healthy kids. But if you've got men that are damaged, who feel a need to prove themselves, or just fail to take responsibility, or have toxic notions about what it means to be a man, are going to dominate and abuse, we're going to have a society that's under pressure like we have now. So it's a very, very crucially.
You know, I come from a dance background, and you know, as a young boy, you're learning in dancing how to interact with ladies and girls. You're learning to touch them in a respectful way. So that for me is so important. It's skills that you can learn, and it's actions that you pick up by having good men around you, and you have to actively seek that out. So I can definitely relate to that. Yeah, being a good man starts young.
The analogy of dance is beautiful. I mean, you look at a ballet troupe, the role the man plays and the woman. It's a beautiful dance, isn't it? You've got the masculine strength, you've got the feminine beauty, and together they make this incredible, and that's society. You know, that's the same as being a father and a mother. And it's the same as men and women co-create a beautiful world because of this dance.
100%. Now, tell us, talking about percentages, you have a course coming up soon. A daddy's course, right? Tell us about that.
So I wrote this book called Dad, and it's about being, how to be the father your children need you to be. And then we decided to put it online as a course. So we developed a course called the Ultimate Dad Course, and it's a series of videos. It's 18 videos, some workbooks and some exercises. And we decided, you know, with our association with Mama Magic to offer a 70% discount to all anyone who's part of Mama Magic. So if you just go onto the dadcoachonline.com, dadcoachonline.com, that's the website. You can click on to purchase the course. And if you use the coupon code Mama Magic 70, you'll get a 70% discount on that course. It's normally 650 Rand. The discount, it comes down to 195 Rand. And it's just a great resource for dads to have to develop their dad skills.
I see someone commenting here that every dad should read that book.
Great.
It's an easy question earlier, and this is a bit more personal. I think it was the first question as we started this talk, or it was in the previous post, and it is, who's your favorite child?
Well, I've got a favorite son who's Luke, and I've got a favorite daughter who's Blythe.
Oh, that's a good one.
So they're both my favorites. I've got the two.
Okay. Wow, it's been so great chatting to you. And if there's anything else you want to say before we end off, please say that now. But from my side, it's been wonderful chatting to you. And I definitely agree with everything that you said. You know, being a good dad, being a good male, man, and definitely by building our country, it starts with building a good family, you know, and being good men. I fully agree with that.
Thanks, Quintus. I mean, I would just end by saying, you know, because as a man, you're the most important man in your children's lives, and because you have such a powerful impact on their lives, on their future, on their emotional well-being, on their relationships. The greatest gift you can give your child, the greatest gift, is to become a great father. And to become a great father, you've got to become a whole and good man. You know, we got to become the men that we want our daughters to marry one day, and become the men that we want our sons to become one day. So the greatest gift you can give them is to be a good dad, and the greatest investment you can make is to develop yourself as a man and as a father.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us, Craig. We appreciate your time, appreciate your expertise. And yeah, I'm sure many people will log into your website. So it's www.dadcoachonline.com.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. Cheers.
Okay. Bye.